Welcome back to the FluentWave Podcast. I'm Alex, and today we're starting a deep 5-part series on something most people use every day without even realizing it, the art of negotiation. And trust me, negotiation isn't only about business deals or formal meetings. It's about how we shape our daily lives.
Absolutely. Negotiation happens everywhere when you're buying groceries, asking for a better price, deciding where to eat with friends, convincing your family to choose a holiday destination, or even trying to get extra time on a deadline. Most of our interactions, small or big, include a negotiation element.
Right. I think people hear the word negotiation and imagine someone in a suit across a table, power posing and sliding documents back and forth. But negotiation isn't a performance. It's a conversation with purpose, where two sides try to find the best outcome.
And the funny part? Many people don't realize they're already negotiating. For example, when someone says, "Hey, can we meet at 7 instead of 6? That's negotiation. If you say, "I can do 6:30, you just counteroffered. See? You didn't need a briefcase to do that.
Exactly! And that's why this series is useful for everyone: students, workers, freelancers, parents, couples, literally everyone. Because the better you negotiate, the better your life becomes. Not because you're manipulating people, but because you learn to express your needs clearly and respectfully.
Also, negotiation isn't about winning or defeating someone. People think, if I negotiate, I have to be hard or aggressive. Nope, the best negotiators are calm, patient, curious, and good listeners. They want to solve problems, not start battles.
You know what's interesting? Studies show that most successful negotiations come from building trust. When people trust you, they offer better deals, better terms, and more flexibility, even without you asking for it directly.
Yes, and this is why knowing how to negotiate matters. It's not only asking for a discount or making a counteroffer. It's also about tone, timing, confidence, and understanding the other person's motivation.
Let me give a simple example. Imagine you're at a local market buying oranges. You ask the seller, "Can you give me a better price?" If you sound rude or demanding, the seller's wall goes up immediately. But if you smile and use a friendly tone, "These look great. Any chance there's a better price if I buy a little more?" The seller's mindset shifts. They want to work with you.
Exactly. Tone changes everything. Negotiation is about human connection. People respond to warmth, respect, and clarity much more than pressure. That's why you see some people always getting better deals, not because they're tough, but because they're likable negotiators.
Another huge thing is preparation. Even small negotiations benefit from being prepared. Like, if you know the average price of something, or you know your limit, or you know what alternative options you have, then you walk into the conversation with confidence.
Yes, and confidence shows. When you don't know what you want, you end up accepting things you're not comfortable with, agreements, prices, responsibilities, whatever. But negotiation becomes easier when you know your boundaries.
So, in this first section, we want our listeners to understand one powerful idea. Negotiation isn't a battle. It's a skill, a life skill. And like any skill, you can learn it, practice it, and improve at it.
And here's the good news. Once you improve your negotiation skills, you also improve your communication, your confidence, your relationships, and your decision-making. Because negotiation teaches you to think clearly and speak honestly.
So today, we just want listeners to walk away with one core message. Negotiation is everywhere. It's a tool you're already using, but you can sharpen it to make life smoother and more balanced.
And in the upcoming sections, we're going to go deep into strategies, psychology, body language, emotional control, common mistakes, and even real-life examples of good and bad negotiations.
Right. But for now, let's wrap up section 1 with a simple thought. When you respect the other person and you understand your own needs, negotiation becomes a partnership, not a fight.
And that mindset alone will change the way you handle daily decisions.
All right. Now that we understand that negotiation is everywhere, let's dig into the psychology behind it. Why do some people always get better deals, while others struggle even in simple conversations?
A lot of it comes down to perception. Negotiation isn't just about what you say, it's also about how the other person perceives you. Are you confident? Are you prepared? Do you know your options?
Exactly. There's this concept called the anchor. Essentially, the first number or offer you make sets the tone for the whole negotiation. If you're the first to mention a price or a request, you can subtly guide the discussion in your favor.
But anchoring isn't just about numbers. It's also about expectations. For example, if you approach a coworker for help on a project with positivity and a clear goal, they are more likely to agree. Your initial mindset frames the rest of the interaction.
And then there's reciprocity. Humans have a natural tendency to return favors. If you make a small concession first, or show understanding of the other person's perspective, they're more likely to respond in kind.
Exactly. And this works in everyday life. Even at a market, if you compliment the seller or show genuine interest in their produce, they're more likely to give you a small discount. That's reciprocity in action.
Emotions also play a huge role. When people feel threatened or pressured, their brain goes into fight or flight mode. Negotiation becomes harder, but when people feel safe and respected, they're more open to compromise.
Which is why tone, body language, and phrasing matter so much. A calm, friendly tone encourages cooperation. A rushed or aggressive tone creates resistance.
Here's a real-world example. Imagine you're negotiating a freelance rate. You present your experience clearly, highlight your results, and show enthusiasm for the project. That combination makes the client feel confident in paying what you deserve, instead of immediately countering with a lower price.
And notice how preparation feeds into confidence. If you know your value, your alternatives, and your minimum acceptable outcome, you're naturally more persuasive. The other person senses it.
Also, humans dislike uncertainty. A negotiator who communicates clearly and lays out options reduces anxiety for the other party. That clarity itself becomes a persuasive tool.
And here's an interesting psychological trick: the power of silence. Sometimes saying nothing after an offer can push the other person to reconsider or even improve their offer. People don't like leaving a space empty. They want to fill it.
Absolutely. Silence is underrated. Even a brief pause shows confidence and control. It signals that you're comfortable and not desperate to close the deal immediately.
Another thing, framing. How you present your request matters. If you frame it as a mutual benefit, if we do this together, both of us gain, you're much more likely to succeed than if you frame it as just what you want.
And this is true in all forms of negotiation. Whether it's buying fruit, asking for a promotion, or settling a disagreement with friends or family.
Yes, framing and perspective taking are crucial. You have to step into the other person's shoes. What do they need? What pressures are they under? How can you meet both sides halfway?
Let's talk about another concept: cognitive biases. People often make decisions based on mental shortcuts rather than logic. For instance, scarcity bias. The idea that something is limited can make people more likely to agree quickly. Understanding these biases can help you guide a negotiation effectively.
Or social proof. If someone sees that others are agreeing to similar terms or deals, they're more likely to go along. That's why testimonials or references can strengthen your position.
And here's a practical tip: always listen more than you speak. Most negotiations fail because people talk too much and reveal weaknesses. Listening gives you insight into what the other person values, which you can use to find win-win solutions.
Exactly. Listening is active. It's not just nodding. It's asking clarifying questions, repeating back to show understanding, and picking up on cues, words, tone, body language.
So, in summary, the psychology of negotiation includes perception, reciprocity, emotional management, framing, cognitive biases, and listening. Mastering these elements gives you a huge edge in almost any situation.
And the beautiful thing is, these strategies work in small, everyday interactions as well as major business deals. Negotiation is fundamentally human. It's about understanding, empathy, and clear communication.
That's why even small practice matters. Start noticing tiny negotiations in your daily life. Splitting chores, deciding dinner, haggling at markets. Every practice strengthens your intuition for negotiation.
Yes. And the more you understand psychology behind negotiation, the more confident you become. Confidence itself is persuasive. People respond to it without even knowing why.
So by the end of this section, the takeaway is, negotiation is not a battle. It's a human conversation guided by psychology. Learn the principles, Practice consciously, and you naturally become more persuasive and effective in every interaction.
Exactly. And in the next sections, we'll explore techniques, body language, emotional control, and real-life examples that take this understanding and turn it into actionable skills.
Now that we've explored why negotiation is everywhere and the psychology behind it, let's focus on strategies. How do you actually negotiate in real life, step by step, and do it effectively?
Exactly. People often hear negotiation and think it's about tricks or manipulation, but it's really about communication and strategy. The first step in any negotiation is preparation. Know what you want, what you're willing to compromise on, and your minimum acceptable outcome.
Yes, preparation is everything. For example, if you're buying a laptop, you should know the market price, available alternatives, and what features are most important to you. Without that, you're negotiating blind.
Step 2 is setting the tone. Your attitude influences how the other person responds. Calm, confident, and respectful tones are far more effective than demanding or aggressive ones. People cooperate more when they feel respected.
Absolutely. And another strategy is anchoring. The first offer sets a mental baseline. For instance, if you start by asking for a slightly higher price than you expect, the other party often adjusts downward, and you end up closer to your target.
But anchoring isn't just about numbers. You can anchor expectations through behavior. For example, showing knowledge, professionalism, or enthusiasm early in the conversation signals credibility and sets a strong starting point.
Another crucial strategy is active listening. Most people fail at negotiation because they don't really listen, they talk too much. When you listen, you gather information about priorities, constraints, and motivations, which gives you leverage.
Exactly. And listening also builds rapport. If the other person feels understood, they're more likely to cooperate. Repeat what they say to confirm understanding. Ask clarifying questions. This shows attentiveness and respect.
Let's talk about timing. Timing can dramatically change outcomes. If you rush, people feel pressured and resist. If you wait for the right moment, like after the other party has expressed need or frustration, your position becomes stronger.
Yes. And don't underestimate patience. Negotiations often fail because people want a fast win. Giving the other person time to consider and respond can lead to better agreements.
Body language is another big factor. Posture, eye contact, and gestures can reinforce confidence. Open body language makes you approachable. Leaning slightly forward shows engagement. Hands visible, relaxed, and expressive signals openness.
And micro-expressions matter. A smile or nod at the right moment encourages collaboration, while crossing arms or frowning can unintentionally create tension.
Now, let's talk about concessions. Giving small concessions strategically can encourage reciprocity. For example, if you're negotiating a freelance project, you might offer a minor service or flexibility in timeline to show goodwill. Often, the other party will reciprocate in return.
Yes, but be careful. Concessions should be planned. Random or excessive concessions make you appear desperate. Each concession should have purpose. Leverage it to gain something meaningful in return.
Another effective technique is framing. Frame your request in terms of mutual benefit. For instance, if we agree on this approach, we both gain efficiency and better results. People respond better to solutions that benefit both sides rather than only your own interests.
Exactly. And sometimes you can use conditional offers. I can do this if you do that. It creates balance, sets expectations, and ensures fairness.
Here's a fun example from everyday life. Imagine you're buying fruit at a market. Instead of saying, "Give me a discount," you might say, "If I buy 2 kilos, would you make it $5? You're framing it as a win-win rather than a demand.
And don't forget the power of silence. After making an offer or counter-offer, wait. Silence makes people uncomfortable. They may improve their offer without being asked.
Exactly. Many people fail here because they feel the need to fill the silence with more talking, often weakening their position.
Lastly, always keep options open. Never say yes too quickly or no too early. Sometimes the most powerful word is "let me think." It shows control and allows you to evaluate alternatives before committing.
So, to summarize, Key strategies for effective negotiation are preparation, tone, anchoring, active listening, timing, body language, strategic concessions, framing, silence, and keeping options open.
Exactly. And the beauty is, all of these strategies apply everywhere from marketplaces to workplaces, from friendships to family situations. Negotiation isn't confined to formal settings. It's a daily life skill.
Even practicing small negotiations, like choosing where to eat or splitting tasks, hones these skills over time. Then, when bigger opportunities arise, you're naturally prepared.
Yes. By the end of this section, listeners should understand that negotiation is a combination of strategy, psychology, and communication, one that can be mastered with practice and awareness.
All right, now let's bring everything together. We've covered why negotiation matters, the psychology behind it, and effective strategies. This final section is about application, how to use these skills in real life.
Exactly. Let's start with everyday situations. Negotiation isn't always a formal conversation. It could be something as simple as deciding where to eat, splitting chores, or choosing a movie with friends.
Even buying groceries counts. Imagine a farmer's market. You see fresh oranges. You know the average price. You smile, ask politely, and offer to buy a little more if they give a small discount. That's negotiation in action. And the best part? You're practicing confidence, tone, framing, and reciprocity all at once.
And notice how small successes build skills. Every time you negotiate, even in minor situations, you become more aware of psychology, timing, and phrasing. This translates to bigger conversations, work projects, salary discussions, or contracts.
Let's talk about work. Imagine asking for a raise. Approach it using all the tools we've discussed: preparation, anchoring, framing benefits for the company, listening actively, and maintaining calm confidence. You combine logic with human connection. That's powerful.
And don't forget patience. Sometimes your first conversation doesn't give the result you want, but negotiation is rarely a single step. It's a process. Follow up respectfully. Show consistency. Demonstrate your value.
Relationships benefit too. Whether with friends, family, or partners, negotiation ensures fairness and clarity. You communicate your needs while understanding theirs. That reduces misunderstandings and conflict.
Yes. And body language plays a huge role. Maintaining open posture, calm gestures, and friendly expressions communicates cooperation. Even nodding to show understanding reinforces collaboration.
Another tip: use stories and examples to strengthen your position. Humans respond to narratives. If you can frame your request or offer as part of a relatable story, it makes your point compelling without sounding pushy.
For example, instead of saying, "I need a bigger budget for this project," you could say, "Last quarter, with a small increase, we improved efficiency by 20%. With a slightly larger investment, we could achieve even more." Facts, results, and narrative combined.
Silence is also a powerful tool here. After stating your case, pause. Give the other party time to process. People often fill that space by offering concessions or agreeing to terms.
And keep your options open. Never feel trapped into saying yes immediately. Consider alternatives. When the other person senses flexibility, they're more willing to find a mutually beneficial solution.
Let's not forget negotiation and social influence. Using reciprocity, framing, and empathy allows you to build rapport. It's not about manipulation. It's about understanding the other person's perspective and finding shared value.
Exactly. And practice makes perfect. Start small. Decide which route to take with friends. Choose where to eat, or manage household chores. These micro-negotiations sharpen your intuition and confidence for bigger scenarios.
Also, manage your emotions. Negotiation is not about winning at all costs. Emotional control ensures rational decisions. If frustration or fear takes over, even the best strategy fails.
And finally, reflect after each negotiation. What worked? What didn't? Did you communicate clearly? Did you listen actively? Continuous reflection is how you improve over time.
So, to wrap up this podcast, negotiation is everywhere. It's about communication, psychology, strategy, and empathy. Mastering it improves work, relationships, social interactions, and even self-confidence.
Yes. And remember, negotiation is a life skill. It's not about aggression or manipulation. It's about creating solutions that work for everyone involved.
By applying preparation, tone, framing, timing, body language, active listening, and patience, you can navigate almost any situation more effectively.
Start small, practice consciously, and notice how your interactions change. You'll find that your day-to-day life becomes smoother, fairer, and more empowering.
And that's the essence of negotiation. Understanding yourself, understanding others, and finding mutually beneficial outcomes.
Exactly. Mastering negotiation is mastering connection, communication, and confidence all in one.